Okay. It is
Welcome back.
okay. It is a good morning. Welcome back, right? And, you know, ways being going, I expect to some of us that don't know how to swim get drowned or something, you know. But anyway, we'll continue with the course. Usual thing, wear the tags and so forth. Turn the phone off. And last time, okay, we went in some detail about Columbus, about how you make a ship, you know, the Portuguese contribution to the sailing, the caravels. And then remember there was the sugarcane was brought in the second trip along with other things from Europe, and the idea was to start settling what is today the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Hispaniola, which they call that island. All right, so today I thought we'll continue. What is it that was brought in, and what is it that they took back? They meaning Columbus, and then other people that followed, okay? And we'll begin with the section 4. Doesn't mean that there are 4 lectures, it means subject matter, okay? And we'll begin with looking at some of the crops taken to Spain that became significant worldwide, and going to sugarcane from Spain that, remember, was brought in by the Arabs from all the way from New Guinea. We'll get into that. Mining and the hacienda system, and then of course the need for slaves. We'll be dealing with part of that next time. But today, if we get through, we'll see, okay? Because there are plants and there are animals that we have to deal with. And among the crops, we have tuberous crops that, you know, we're interested in the underground part of them. That is, things that grow, the roots proper, okay? And then sugar cane, of course, not. That would be, you know, another one. I showed you this. It's a list of root and tuber crops. What was brought, what is old world and what is new world. And today we'll begin with cassava, malanga, but let's begin with cassava. Why do I want to begin with cassava? There is a reason. I showed you that. Columbus gets lands and these nice looking natives and so on that he said would make pretty good slaves, okay? Well, it wasn't long before they ran out of bread. And the flour that they brought from wheat or whatever wasn't in good shape, and they ran out of that. The natives then gave them this bread, which they call cassava, okay? So that began the exchange. But where does cassava come from? From this. This is a cassava plant, or yucca, or tapioca, okay? Has many names. But the most common name is all through the Iberian world and Africa and Asia is yucca or cassava. Okay. That's the plant, it's a bush, and these are what we call tuberous roots. That is, the storage roots, starch and so on. Okay. And here the flowers and so on. The flowers are very inconspicuous. The plant has a cycle as far as of about 10 months to a year before you can harvest it, or before you want to harvest it. We'll get into that. And this is what you do with it. You can do many, many things with it as far as cooking, but that is one that I like, okay? You got a nice deal like this, and this is yuca, okay? And other things you put in there, okay? We're talking of a member of the milkweed family. I mean, that shakes people up. Milkweeds, you have to be careful. There are a lot of poisonous plants in there. This is a repeat, and this is what we're talking about. This is what you go after. 10 months to a year, even longer, and you don't have the stricter, it's ready to harvest. So I need to, no, that's not true here. Just leave it there and dig it up when you need it, okay? Extensively as an annual crop, tropical and subtropical regions, edible starchy tuberous roots, a major source of carbohydrates worldwide. But, there's always a but, okay? Be careful when you go out in the woods somewhere in the Amazonian and then you find some yucca growing. Oh, I'm gonna have it, okay? Well, some of them have cyanogenic glycosides, and you might start, and you might pass out, okay? So there's the sweet and there is bitter. The bitter has the poison, the sweet, our predecessors work again. See the Indians working, and they determined this is edible, that's not edible, and they did what we will call gene work, okay, in their way. Many varieties. They also found out that it's easy to take the bitter one, chop it up, boil it, and you get rid of the hydrocyanic prussic acid. Because the bitter one contains this. And for the chemist, you see this guy, that's going to produce hydrocyanic acid. The things that California used to use in their gas chamber. So, yeah. Okay. Glucoside is found in the leaves all over the plant, okay? Exposure can decompose to hydrogen cyanide, and that's bad news. So we have bitter and sweet, two classes of cassava to begin with, and there are subclasses and so on within that. Okay? HCN, that's hydrocyanic acid, prussic acid. Okay? Why they call it prussic acid? Prussic has got nothing to do with yucca. Oh yes, it does. Prussian blue. The Prussian blue is that they had to use hydrocyanic acid to produce that Prussian blue that the armies of Prussia used. As already said, by glycoside, limonene, can by juice extraction, heating, fermentation, drying, all kinds of things you can do. And our predecessors figure it out. When there is hunger, you find a way. Okay? And this is just to list things. The lady, something called West Indian pepper pot, that's similar to the dish I showed you at the beginning. The meal is fermented, and you make a kind of a beer. Okay? Leaves eaten as pot herb after boiling, okay? Always remember you have to boil it. Tuber can be fermented with fungi, okay? Careful here. You need to know the fungi because some of the fungi themselves produce mycotoxins, fungal toxins, so careful. Alcohol production. basically what you have is very pure, very fine starch. And if you hydrolyze it, you get glucose. Okay, then you can ferment. Okay, so that's all that there is behind. Traditional preparation. Farina, that's harina in Spanish, farina in Portuguese. So flour, that's what you go for. And you take this tuberose roots and you peel them, and then you grate them, and then you put them, I will show you next, you put them in a special tube-like thing and express the juice out. And the deal is to have as much of that juice sap taken out of it. Okay. At this step. A type of flour. Roots are clean, peeled, and grated. Pulp is squeezed through a long cylinder woven tube-like basket. It's called a tipi. And the basket is tied to a tree on one end. And then they do a little muscle work and they get the stuff out.
That's a lot of work. And it must have taken a long time to figure out that that's what they had.
Exactly. And how many people died? Because mistakes are made. Okay? So yeah, you have to treat this thing with respect. When you buy yuca, or for that matter, many of the things that we discuss here, treat it with respect. Our ancestors went through a lot to get this product. There it is. It'll be in South America somewhere. This is getting rarer and rarer to see, but you still can see some Indians out there, more or less, and that is what the lady and the kids are doing. They're peeling the yucca. Okay, and this is in Southeast Asia. Same thing, okay. But they are, no doubt, we make mistakes, and I'll go into that later. The indigenous people would set up in the South, we call them gardens, okay, veggie places, and they would clear up a part of the jungle and plant yucca. Okay, and they will do that maybe through 2, maybe 3 cycles, and then they will move and go somewhere else. Well, why move? Because during the time that you're growing, this applies to almost all crops, that you are growing the crop, you are also accumulating pathogen to that crop, okay, and insects to that crop. So by moving it, you leave that soil which is exhausted, so to speak, and go to anywhere. Okay? Keep that in mind. It is. Okay? Now, they peeled it, and they grated it, and they put it inside this teepee, and see, she's got a, and they keep doing that. Everything, they can use that, okay, to make beer, and so forth. And of course, they get it out of here, and you get a wet thing, which is essentially humid, okay? So, and then you do this. You got a hot place, okay? Can be rock, can be anything flat. And then you take that thing and work it out, and you got a huge cassava tortilla, okay? And you can proceed. That was what Columbus, the Indians in Española gave Columbus, and called it cassava. At the beginning, they kind of resisted, but they liked it after a while. Well, this is good stuff, okay? Many times, cultivars as varieties with varying storage, root colors, and shapes, okay? And I put this because this is conventional cassava. But our gene jockeys, cassava has nothing really but energy. It's just like if you were eating sugar, okay, starch. But you get the gene jockeys going, and they manage to tweak a little bit on the DNA, and now this one is yellow. Yellow means what? Carotene. And there you go, vitamins. This exists, okay? So then you ask, is it good or bad? I think it's good. You didn't have the carotenoid complex, now you have it. And this is going on. This is going on. I showed you in a past course, an institute, CIAT, which is in Cali, Colombia. And all they do is work on tropical things like this and many other tropical related deals. It's a huge place, okay? It came from the Americas. It came specifically from the Brazilian Amazon area. That's where it came, the subcanopy, okay? Well, look, today, there's Brazil, but no one else in the America. No one, I'm talking about the highest producing countries in the world. That's a little ironic. You know, they came and take this back, and what a gift, okay? This is, putting it, this is probably Nigeria. If cassava disappears from Nigeria, get ready. The smallpox thing, again, a lot of people are going to go hungry because they do depend on it a lot. Brazil, not so much, but they still are out there. And Thailand, Indonesia, Congo. This is worldwide. How do you grow it? You want to know? You go to YouTube, and this is one of the things. They take you step by step, the do's and don'ts of growing cassava. Okay, don't try it in Auburn. I tried it. It won't make the winter. It's just too far from the tropics or subtropics. But they can grow well in the Canary Islands, which is further south, okay? Here's some ladies carrying. This is what you use for planting. You take the stem, just like that. You can beat it up. It's a tough plant. Cut the stem, don't throw it away, because that is your seed. Okay? You chop it up. See a little chop like that. This one is already, and stick it in the ground. And you can do it that way. It's as simple as that. All you do is just look around and that's it. Make a little hole. And here is a bunch of quotation mark seed waiting to be chopped and delivered for planting. Yeah. Okay? It's about this high, not more than that. And all you do is wait. Fertilizer, you really don't need much. But if you want to boost yields and so on, yeah, it will respond to nitrogen and so on. But you don't really need it. You get a base production of it. That is sufficient. Okay, here's Africa. All the way down to Madagascar. It's all over the place. Okay. Crop production. This is the year 2000. I'll give you something. It turns out, in terms of the percentage produced, okay, these tuberose roots, you got 50% is in Africa, 30% India, Southeast Asia, and then only 20% in Latin America, most of it in Brazil. Okay. Talking about Colombian exchange, there you have it. Okay. This is the 2014. Because the circle indicates the size of the production. What do you do with it? You see, this is another. It is a wonder crop. It really is. You got fresh cassava. Okay. You got it. You dug it out. Okay. You can go down here. Fresh food processing, traditional food. They got, Gary, no kidding you, there's something called fufu, okay? And that is in Africa. Or you can produce ethanol, you can make animal feed, flour milling, starch production, glucose, and you get involved in, even in aquaculture, okay? Commercial, baking, brewing, pharma, industrial, textiles, and so on. When I say all of this, it's not just the roots, but also the stems are used in making board and things like that, okay? So there's when they get through the sap that is extracted, that's very useful, and you can do things with it. So it's very flexible. Okay, this is just, so you harvest, you wash it, peel it, size reduction, you might want to chop it or something like that. Then you'll see why. Grate it, press it, sieve, drying, cooling, milling. Yeah. It looks like a lot of steps. It's relatively simple. There's not that much complicated thing that you have to do. You do have to work though, okay? That's tapioca, I call it there. I got this from the web. And you go do cleaning and peeling and crushing. Now we're industrial. De-water, get rid of the water, dry it, and you got flour, cassava flour. And, production per square kilometer, it varies. The darker, of course, here, over there, Brazil, is the higher the yield. But remember, I repeat, you must move. You must go from one place to, this rotate, get out of there, because it will accumulate and do so fairly quickly, problems. 2 or 3 years ago, folks in Kenya, they were making good money, because that flour that's good price, okay? They got greedy or something and they didn't move. They kept on doing that, and guess what? Total collapse, the roots were rotting, viruses showed up and so on, and which these are not very educated people, and they thought, well, why do we have to move on? Or maybe they didn't have enough land, whatever. Big problem. And he had to come to the UN to send experts from SIA, from Latin America, and what they told him, they said, you're doing this wrong, totally wrong. But you need to rotate the land. Yeah, that's just some. Can you see this? Okay, that's just, okay, then you peel it. I don't know what she's doing. This is artisanal. A few families get together and they're going to do this, okay? And they clean it. Sizing is important. And then I am told that the Chinese love cassava chips there. So what I'm going to show you now is industrial and not complicated. This is in China. So there it is. And then washing, removing the cortical, the outside the skin, so to speak. Then you go there, grind it. You go there, dry it, and the flowers, but I didn't have a picture of it, but the flowers supposed to be coming out, collect it, buy it, and sell it, okay? Here. Scraper, paddle type cleaner, cage type cleaner, further washing, brush peeler, then a slicer and dicer, okay? Chips, belt type drive, effective, okay? And then you're ready to grind it and make your flour. This is a very large field. It's more suitable for household, production, much like we have our veggies produced around the house, okay? Okay. That's at harvest time. That's what it will look like, okay? And this guy's very happy.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Do you have to dig them out or do you just pull them out?
No, you won't be able to pull it out. You do have to.
Wow.
That you have to do. It takes work. And this guy is very happy. Look at the size of those things. Okay. And this way you have to size them, so that you fit machinery to the material that you're going to process. Okay. Here's this lady. Like I say, she's typical. She's got, I think, castor beans there. She's got the yucca growing all around her house, some plantains. So
Is she weeding? Is that what she's doing?
she's weeding there, but it doesn't need to do that much because, yeah. But good question. There they are. Okay. It's to emphasize you don't need to dig it. It will go on growing. But then look what the problem you got. How are you going to handle that? Okay? But which is kind of nice, you can go and take a few days off. There's no problem, It's not like potatoes or soybeans.
Ron, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You said there's a bitter type and a sweet type.
Correct.
Both of them are toxic. Is that correct?
Both of them?
Both of them have toxic elements in them?
No. The sweet one is,
Okay, so you could buy that in the grocery store.
Oh yeah, you do it. You go anywhere in
The other is only sold processed.
tropical and subtropical America and Africa. You can go to the market and buy them there. One other thing is they keep. You take sweet potatoes, can't do that. You're limited to the amount of time unless you do, we'll cover that. But unless you do something, sweet potato will rot. This will not. Okay. Tapioca. Yeah. As I said, it's one of it. It's the same thing, cassava. Okay. This is just summarizing what we went through. It's native of the north region and central west region of Brazil, but its use spread throughout South America. The plant was carried by Portuguese and Spanish to most of the West Indies and Africa and Asia. Okay. So this came in very early, in maybe after the mid-1500s, as they expanded, they took this with them. It's ideal for ships, okay? You can carry a lot of energy in fairly small flour. Okay. Perennial shrub. Now I said 10 to 12 months. That's ideal, so they don't get too big. But if you let it grow, it'll go on growing. Okay. Poor soils. I mentioned this before, one of the courses then. For China, it was a godsend. And for Indonesia and so forth, they had land that they could not use for anything else, but it was perfectly good for these things. and it requires very little work on this. But then you have to dig it, okay? All right. For millions of people, it provides only carbohydrate food. If you think this is the crop that is going to keep me alive, yeah, for a while, and then you die of all kinds of vitamins and almost no protein. So if you want to starch, this is the one, okay? That's tapioca starch. I got this in the web, it's got the leaves, okay? I don't know what that is, and that's the original root, okay? That's about the size you want. So you calculate where you are, the number of months required to get to that size. Okay. All right. Tapioca pudding, okay? Who hasn't had tapioca pudding? Okay. Almost everybody has, but and I forgot something, but next time I'll bring you some handouts for the one recipe for it, but it's just very simple to make. And you don't have to use whole milk. You can substitute it with almond milk or anything like that. Okay. Okay. Just not go into it. Products you can have fried or oven chips, okay? Or you have, this is from Thailand. They have a translucent sticks like that, and they put stuff into them. I have no idea how they do it, but that was made from flour, yucca flour. Okay. Here's some more. Okay. It's a wrapper. Yeah.
A favorite dish that you make with the yucca, what do you put in with it? You know, you showed us a picture of early.
Yeah.
And you said that's the way you like to eat yucca. What other ingredients are in that?
They didn't quite understand. What? Oh, yeah, you mean how you make it? Like you do with potatoes or anything, just put it, it's just a...
What kind of,
With meat,
yeah.
vegetable, you can add things, a nice broth, and that makes it so
She's the expert, okay? All right, anyway, and you have here crackers, okay? I think it's some kind of a falafel or something like that, I don't know. And this is another version of the pudding, okay? And I can go on, just hundreds of things come out of that. Sometimes when you go and buy it, they'll sell you these little balls. In the processing, sometimes it's useful. So I don't know why. Useful or more convenient to make these little balls, and instead of having flour, you get these little balls. And I think it has to do with keeping and transportation, I'm not sure, okay? But it's just, all it is just starch. And you can buy it like that, okay? It says gluten-free. And everything has Bijan, okay, say okay. This is Anthony's, okay? And on the back, please don't look under the back. I don't know what that means, okay? Maybe they'll find cockroaches or something, yeah. But you see here, and you can see the total 50000. Up here, basically all you have is flour, little calcium. It's not a whole food, okay? It's just flour. Yeah. But let's leave yucca, and we come now to sweet potatoes. And I gather that everybody is familiar with sweet potatoes, all right? All right. General view, all right, is in the Convolvulaceae. Okay. Greatest diversity of species in the genus Ipomea is in the Caribbean area. Okay. That's where you have species, different species. And sweet potato is just one of them, okay? There is they call the De Candolle principle. The center of origin of a plant is the place where you have the greatest number of related species. Makes sense? So there are over several hundred ipomoeas in the Caribbean. I mean, they're all over the place. Okay. And you see here, the point I'm making here is the variability that you have. It's very variable. And of course, the geneticists, they love that because you can make crosses. And they said, color outside. Okay. Different varieties. Some are very sweet, like the ones what we use in the South. And some not so sweet, a little bit sweeter than a potato, but more like a potato-like, okay? So the culinary possibilities are great. And I have here, continuing overview, look at the flowers, look at the leaves, look at all of the leaves, okay, all right. And that's what we have, a vine. And you do have to dig it up again, it's okay? So that, and that's your sweet potato. Okay. Not only by bread, okay? How about decorative? You see it all over the place now. But used to be that they wouldn't be used for decoration of houses and things like that. So I thought I would show you some. Here's one growing. Actually, several of them growing. This is a sweet potato, another one, and I think that one too. The variability in color, shape of leaves, and so forth. That's interesting to our colleagues with that. Okay, it's all sweet potatoes. How about that? You start combining. And the thing I like best is no care. Plant that thing, and it's going to take care of itself, all right? No care at all.
Is it an annual, or is it a perennial, or?
Okay. Actually, it's both.
You keep it there for
Yeah.
years?
No, not. Unlike yucca or cassava, this will rot. But it has rhizomes, and they grow out of the initial point, and that will put roots over here and roots over there, and it will replicate the plant. So, is it perennial? Yeah, it'll keep on growing, you know. But, yeah, hanging. Anything. It will challenge your imagination. Okay. I'm asked many times, oh, it's yams. No. Yam is one thing, and sweet potatoes is another thing. So I got, this is a yam, okay? That's what it looks. This is a variety of sweet potatoes, okay? They don't look the same, okay? All right, this is of African origin, although we have some native ones in Alabama. And of course, this is from the Americas. And then from Mexico, you have a combination of sweet potato / yam, and it also produces beans on it. But point here is, do not confuse the word yam with sweet potatoes, okay? You're talking about different things. Originated the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, and the mouth of the Orinoco River. Central America, they were at least 5,000 years ago. Were introduced to Fujian province about 1594. The Chinese traders with the Spanish in the Philippines. Spanish had taken to the Philippines, and I guess Chinese traders say, hey, this thing is pretty good. So they took it over there. And this is even more interesting. Very interesting, and very hard to explain, okay? It was brought to central Polynesia 700 AD, possibly Polynesians who had traveled to South America and back and spread across Polynesia. There's no question. You know, Thor here, Heyerdahl made a big Kontiki and proven with balsa wood raft. Oh, you can go from Peru to Polynesia, and he did. But it never occurred to him that the reverse could also be done. And sweet potato is the biggest argument for it. That they say, well, it could have come from Indonesia through Portuguese and so on. No. The Incas had it way before. So the argument now is Polynesians with their very good ships, the catamarans and trimarans, good sailors. We do not have absolute proof, but you have to explain. And the easiest way to explain how sweet potato got to Polynesia was the Polynesians came, landed, and were given this deal. You're going to need it to go back, you know, because you're going to have food. It's a strong argument. The DNA analysis of the good faith Polynesian sweet potatoes, and that occurs in the Caribbean, it's almost identical. So, okay. So it came from this area, here's Yucatan, all the way to the Orinoco River, right there. We know that.
Ron, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How did the sweet potato get to North America? Was it with the slaves when they began importing and they brought that? Or were the Indians in the northern part of America where they already growing sweet potato?
It's a very
In other
good
words, it's sort of an exchange, not so much the Columbian exchange with Europe, but from south to north.
Very good. In fact, we do have evidence. Columbus makes mention that he ate some fruit that the Indians offered him, and that it tasted like boiled chestnuts.
Oh.
And if you a boiled chestnut, it is pretty good. It's pretty good. So he made a comment in one of his reports. So we know that they were there, of course, the origin. And if I say that, very likely it came, the Indians had it here. But I haven't seen that mentioned, you know. They get so wrapped up with cotton, they forget about other things, you know. But anyway. Let me finish that, okay. How do you reproduce it? You take one of the tuberous roots, put it in a growing medium. Soon, very soon, it'll start putting out stems. You take the stems, these now are called slips. One slip, one plant. And there they are, and then you stick it in the ground and go. Let's stop. I think I need to stop here, okay? That's what a field looks like. Recently planted, a little later. And all of these things that you may or may not see, what they are is the roots, the sweet potatoes. So this is easy to mechanize. Okay. But, there's always a but. Okay, you got all this sweet potatoes, lots of sweet potatoes. If you don't do anything, they'll start losing water fast, and they will rot. So you got what? A few weeks, very few weeks. So you must do something. If you're in the tropics, there's no problem. You just go and plant again. But if you're in a situation like Alabama, there is the winter, and sweet potatoes will not make it through the winter, period. They will die. So you have to have seed, that's roots, available for getting slips the next year. So how are you going to keep them? You can cure them. Okay. Technique, don't toughen the outer layer of skin. Okay. This was developed here in the South. Footnote, Civil War. Where are they getting all this food? We go and destroy, and they always have food. This was it. They were keeping it. They would cure it. Prevents excessive entry of. You're isolating. You are hibernating, so to speak, the sweet potato, and it will not rot. It's done back from the whole potato. Moderately high temperature for several days, and immediately following harvest, okay? And here are the temperatures. First, you bring them up in a room, in a treatment room, shack, whatever, 86 to 90 degrees. And then after that, treatment for 4 to 10 days, they're cured. You bring the temperature down, and that's it. Now you can store them. They are not going to sprout, and they're not going to cause you a problem. Okay. Or you can do it if you don't have a house. You can just use polyethylene and do the same thing. Just wrap all the potatoes, and you do for 5 days. Then take them out, cool them, they're cured. See what I said about China? They had the cassava. Then they got, from the Spanish in the Philippines, I think, they got the sweet potato. And look at the tonnage. The coronavirus will not do it. This would. If for some reason sweet potato will disappear, they're in trouble, big trouble. Sorry, can't read that. My point is, remember that with cassava there were nothing but zeros. These are things like protein, sugar, vitamins, and so on. Sweet potato, unlike cassava, has a significant amount of protein, 3%, something like that. Vitamins, the color, carotenoids, vitamin A, and so forth. So this is good and this is bad, because I said yucca, cassava, you can put it there, and it may lose a little water, but you'll have no problem. With this guy, you better treat it or it's going to rot. Okay, and the flour that you get out of sweet potatoes is not as good a quality as you get from cassava. Although I think our colleagues here and throughout the South ought to do a little more work on that. I'm not satisfied with the work they have done on it. Okay. Here's another one. Dasheen malanga. It's elephant ear. Okay. Also from the same area in the Caribbean. Also developed by the Indians. And elephant ears plants, you think they need shade and they need sun. Not this one. This can take full sun. I've seen hundreds of acres planted. Okay. Is in the RAC, there's the elephant ear plant. These are now we call them rhizomes. We got a word for everything. And you see one here germinating, and all you do, you take that, put it in the ground, and forget it. And it will come out and in full sun, and will produce that plant. Here's a whole field, and that's the flower, and that's the rhizome. Okay, so I got it. What do I do with it? This is a summary that we're trying to introduce it in Nigeria. And this came out from one of their publications. And basically, it says it's easy. It's easy to do. Okay? How to cook it. You know how to cook a potato? Same thing. Peel it and boil it. Cut it up and boil it. And then eat it. The starch and flour of it is very, very nice for people who have problems, babies, so on. They make things with the flour from this plant. Oil, mashed, or deep fried into chips too. Okay. Thicken it in soups and broths. Okay. So again, it's simple. Okay. That's what it looks like. I eat it directly. We can get it here in Auburn. Tropical and subtropical. And you notice over here, it grows well. I have grown it in Auburn. And it doesn't require 10 months or anything, about 6 to 8 months you will have. Okay. This one, you can leave it there. And it will go on reproducing in the old plant side, the new plant side. So what you can have it around the house, and when you need some, you go out there and dig up and get what you want, and the plant keeps going. It's easy living. Easy living. Okay. I don't understand that. I think that's a mistake, and maybe over here, I don't know. But it was in this, whoever prepared this, it wasn't me, decided that you could grow it down there in the Falkland Islands, and presumably the northern island of New Zealand. Okay. Now, last but not least, okay, sugarcane. We're going to leave the tubers and the roots and all that and enter sugarcane. We're getting serious now, very serious, all right? Saccharum officinarum, that's it. Big field. You notice this is called the ingenio. Ingenio means the sugar mill. Okay? And that's the plant, that's the flower, stems, and from the stems you get the sugar. Okay. New Guinea. This was developed in New Guinea, you know. Remember those guys with the big, okay. Up in the mountains of New Guinea, they crossed. Saccharum, this is the genus, that's the species. Saccharum edulis and Saccharum robustum. They crossed. These are supposed to be people that don't know anything, okay? They don't know anything, but they can cross species. And in crossing it, they got something that was sweet, and that's sugarcane. And sugarcane then quickly, for obvious reason, moved. Went up into Indonesia, got into China and so forth, and eventually got to Spain. Remember, there was a Muslim Spain and a Muslim Sicily. Okay. It was first grown in Madeira and the Canary Islands by the Iberians. Okay. Footnote, do you know why they call it Madeira? Madeira, Portuguese, is forest or forestry. And the island was totally covered, so thick that they couldn't even land there. So they set it on fire. And then came back. Kid you not, they did that. Nice guys. Okay. Among the plants.
Let me ask you a question, because you were giving the history before. When Columbus brought the sugar cane,
Yeah.
did he have people there that it was their responsibility to try and
Yeah.
develop these plants? I
The-
mean, it wasn't just a bunch of sailors or
No, no,
explorers.
no.
It had to been other people doing this.
There was there was a first trip. It's mostly sailors and a few military people. Second trip, they did bring some settlers, people who knew agriculture and so forth. But it was a third trip when they brought in huge numbers of people, and they were from a region in Spain, in the southern part of Spain, where sugarcane was grown, and some come from Tenerife in the Canary Islands and Gomera.
So that probably people that knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah, they knew. Okay. First sugar was produced in the Hispaniola, and then this went in pretty quickly. Okay. Normal sugar cane needs fertilizer. It needs fertilizer. But a very good friend of mine, the Deberreiner in Brazil, one of the German descendant Brazilians. And I thought she was a nun when I met her. She was not a nun, it's the way. She developed, again, years of work, developed sugarcane varieties that have inside the stem this bacteria. It's a group of bacteria that can fix nitrogen from the air. She artificially developed a grass legume. Okay. So why is that important? You can now grow it anywhere you want. Okay. And all you need is water, and you don't have to worry about nitrogen. Okay. That opened up incredible, and in fact made possible the alcohol industry in Brazil, which is the largest, way larger than anybody else in the world. And that is why they have alcohol internal combustion engines. Even though one engineer here, whose name I do not wish to say, argued with me that that was not possible to do it. And I told him, well, I rode in a taxi in Sao Paulo, and the guy knew because he went over and loaded up with alcohol. Cannot be done. You cannot do it. Okay? All right. All right. Go back. So he was pre-Islamic, okay, and then what that, and he got to Spain. But I studied in southeastern Spain, and then from there to the Madeira, Portuguese, and the Canary Islands, the Spanish. Okay. I've shown this before. Portugal, that's Madeira, that's the Canary Islands. Okay. And I told you it was supposed to be 4 days, and it stayed 100 days. I mean, the whole month. Okay. Anyway, but Doña Beatriz was he liked him. She liked him, anyway. And Doña Isabel was the one that really pushed this. Not so much him, Fernando. She was behind this deal, okay? She provided him on his second trip with sugarcane material to plant. So never saw him again. Okay. And how you plant it? See, this guy comes in, he cuts little pieces like that. You got a node, bud, the roots, okay? And you put it out in the field, okay? And you get that? Grows quickly. Many varieties, many types, and I mean hundreds for this, for that, for the other. Okay. A sugar variety may not be the same as an alcohol variety. So that. I don't know where it is, but it looks like Cuba to me. I put it there. Just give you. It is thick. It gets very thick. You don't want to go in there without good clothing because it'll scratch the heck out of you. A little closer. And I've done that. Not nice. Okay. Remember, during the tropics, there is heat, and the sun is bearing down on you. Historically, you have processing in a small trapezoid. It's a small few families that get together. Then they use donkeys. Then there is a central, and that's when you get down to modern production of sugarcane. I saw in South Africa a huge sugar mill that was manned by 6 people. 6. That's how automated and integrated it is. And they will sell you one. They will sell you. They'll come in here. If you pay, they'll put it down in Baldwin County and say, there you go, okay? And then you get 6 months training for the guys. That's how advanced the industry has got. Okay. See, this is a trapezoid. The guy going around with oxen, okay, coming in. This is how it used to, and it still is harvested in some areas of the world, okay. This is in Brazil, okay, and this is a Brazilian ingenio, sugar mill. Now, this is a close-up because I want to link it to our next presentation, okay. It has to do with slavery, okay? And you can see that going on here. But not now. Next week we'll talk about that. Products, sugar, molasses, synthetic wood. When you extract the sugar juice, then you have something left, and that's called the bagasse. The bagasse is a wonderful material that you can make all manner of things, boards and all manner of paper, all manner of things. And electricity from bagasse. Most of the big mills do not need to bring electricity from the outside. The bagasse provides enough electricity to run the factory and even export extra. So that's how fine-tuned it is.
Does that involve burning the gas?
I'm sorry? Yes.
You have to burn it? Right?
Yeah, you burn it. Okay. All right. World sugar production, of course, Brazil, India. Brazil is involved in export and so on. India, no. They consume it all. It's a little more, 2015. This is 1,000 metric tons. Brazil, Mexico here, US over here. This is just stating bagasse. We already said that. Fuel in the boilers and kilns, production of papers, all kinds of things, bulk, raw material, all kinds, very useful. This is opening up to the slave thing, okay? Because when you didn't have tractors, you had to have a source of energy, people, to cut the cane and bring it in and do all of these steps. That's historical. I'll show you this. And there was trade from here to here for slaves. and other things. Okay? Sugarcane, and principally sugarcane, was behind. It wasn't cotton. Cotton was a sideline. It was not that important. Sugarcane was what triggered the slave trade from Angola, okay, the slave coast, and even from Mozambique. The Portuguese would bring him in, and the majority went to Brazil, and here they 4.5 million, 500,000 to Europe too. It is the way it was. Okay. We're getting into gold and silver mining. It peaked to around between 1,500, 1,600, around there, then went down. But not sugarcane. Sugarcane kept going. You've seen this before. Yeah. The Middle Passage got slaves to the West Indies or Brazil, and then you get molasses from the Caribbean or other places. Rum goes over here, sold over there, and they bring stuff. So that went on and on. Okay. Well, I love mechanical engineers. I love them because of this. If you cut cane, first time I saw one, honest, I had tears. I got very emotional about the sugarcane harvester. Man, can they do it quickly? That was developed cooperation between Louisiana and Cuba back in the 1950s, and it succeeded. Okay. So you got that, or you got this. Go back. Or windmills and stuff. The Dutch would use windmills down in their Caribbean islands, where you go through this process. Look at this guy's got a big old going around. Yeah. Chop it up. It's ready. Yeah. Summary. Principal American crops. Cassava, Himalayan, sugarcane. Okay, we discussed that. Gold mines, we didn't do that. We'll pick that up next, okay? But need for the slaves. Thank you. That's it.